true terror is to wake up one morning and discover that your high school class is running the country. I tell you, we are here on Earth to fart around, and don't let anyone tell you different. We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful what we pretend to be. I want to stand as close to the edge as I can without going over. Out on the edge, you see all the kinds of things you can't see from the center. The arts are not a way of making a living. They are a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or badly, is a way to make your soul grow, for heaven's sake. We could have saved the earth, but we were too damn cheap. Laughter and tears are both responses to frustration and exhaustion. I myself prefer to laugh, since there is less cleaning up to do afterwards. What should young people do with their lives today? Many things, obviously, but the most daring thing is to create stable communities in which the terrible disease of loneliness can be cured. Maturity. Maturity is a bitter disappointment for which no remedy exists, unless laughter could be said to remedy anything. Human beings will be happier not when they cure cancer, or get to Mars, or eliminate racial prejudice, or flush Lake Erie, but when they find ways to inhabit primitive communities again. That's my utopia. Science is magic that works. If you can do a half-assed job of anything, you're a one-eyed man in a kingdom of the blind. Here we are, trapped in the amber of the moment. There is no why. If people think nature is their friend, then they sure don't need an enemy. There is no reason why good cannot triumph as often as evil. The triumph of anything is a matter of organization. If there are such things as angels, I hope that they are organized along the lines of the mafia. The year was 2081, and everyone was finally equal. Beware of the man who works hard to learn something, learns it, and finds himself no wiser than before. I was taught that the human brain was the crowning glory of evolution so far, but I think it's a very poor scheme for survival. New knowledge is the most valuable commodity on Earth. The more truth we have to work with, the richer we become. Why bother? Here's my answer. Many people need desperately to receive this message. I feel and think much as you do, care about many of the things you care about. Although most people do not care about them. You are not alone. I really wonder what gives us the right to wreck this poor planet of ours. It is a very mixed blessing to be brought back from the dead. The universe is a big place. Perhaps the biggest. There is love enough in this world for everybody, if people will just look. Evolution can go to hell, as far as I'm concerned. What a mistake we are. We have mortally wounded this sweet life-supporting planet, the only one in the whole Milky Way with a century of transportation whoopee. I ask myself about the present, how wide it was, how deep it was, how much was mine to keep. I let the dog out, or I let him in, and we talk some. I let him know I like him, and he lets me know he likes me. People have to talk about something just to keep their voice boxes in working order, so they'll have a good voice box in case there's ever anything really meaningful to say. Anything can make me stop and look and wonder and sometimes learn. About astrology and palmistry. They are good because they make people vivid and full of possibilities. They are communism at its best. Everybody has a birthday and almost everybody has a palm. People don't come to church for preachments, of course, but to daydream about God. I was a chemistry major, but I'm always winding up as a teacher in English departments, so I've brought scientific thinking to literature. Everyone now knows how to find the meaning of life within himself, but humankind wasn't always so lucky. Less than a century ago, men and women did not have easy access to the puzzle boxes within them. I get up at 7:30 and work 4 hours a day, 9 to 12 in the morning, 5 to 6 in the evening. Businessmen could achieve better results if they studied human metabolism. No one works well 8 hours a day. No one ought to work more than 4 hours. I was not an anthropology student prior to the war. I took it up as a part of personal readjustment, following some bewildering experiences as an infantryman and later as a prisoner of war in Dresden, Germany. The science of the study of man has been extremely satisfactory from that personal standpoint. People need good lies. There are too many bad ones. When someone becomes a writer, I think they take on a sacred obligation to produce beauty and enlightenment and comfort at top speed. Science sent the Hubble telescope out into space so it could capture light and the absence thereof from the very beginning of time. And the telescope really did that. So now we know that there was once absolutely nothing, such a perfect nothing, that there wasn't even nothing, or once. One of the things that I tell beginning writers is this: if you describe a landscape, or a cityscape, or a seascape, always be sure to put a human figure somewhere in the scene. Why? Because readers are human beings, mostly interested in human beings. People are humanists. Most of them are humanists, that is. This is how you get to be a writer, incidentally. You feel somehow marginal, somehow slightly off balance all the time. I don't plot my books rigidly, follow a preconceived structure. A novel mustn't be a closed system. It's a quest. There is never a shortage anywhere of lawyers eager to attack the First Amendment, as though it were nothing more than a clause in a lease from a crooked slumlord. Any reviewer who expresses rage and loathing for a novel is preposterous. He or she is like a person who has put on full armor and attacked a hot fudge sundae. This country is being managed to death, being public related to death. I think big business is a terrible thing for the spirit of the country, as our spirit is the best thing about us. To whom it may concern, it is springtime. It is late afternoon. I'm convinced that no one can amount to a damn in the arts if he becomes sweetly reasonable, seeing all sides of a picture, forgiving all sins. Back in my days, as a chemistry student, I used to be quite a technocrat. I was firmly convinced that scientists would have cornered God and photographed him in color by 1951. Oh sure, we have another world war coming, and another Great Depression. But where are the leaders of this time? It may be that the most striking thing about members of my literary generation in retrospect will be that we were allowed to say absolutely anything without fear of punishment. Lot's wife, of course, was told not to look back where all those people in their homes had been. But she did look back, and I love her for that, because it was so human. It is a big temptation to me when I create a character for a novel to say that he is what he is because of faulty wiring, or because of microscopic amounts of chemicals which he ate or failed to eat on that particular day. Who is more to be pitied, a writer bound and gagged by policemen, or one living in perfect freedom who has nothing more to say? One might be led to suspect that there were all sorts of things going on in the universe, which he or she did not thoroughly understand. I think a lot of people, including me, clammed up when a civilian asked about battle, about war. It was fashionable. One of the most impressive ways to tell your war story is to refuse to tell it, you know? Civilians would then have to imagine all kinds of deeds of daring do. The feeling about a soldier is, when all is said and done, he wasn't really going to do very much with his life anyway. The example usually is, he wasn't going to compose Beethoven's Fifth. It was very lucky for me as a writer that I studied the physical sciences rather than English. I wrote for my own amusement. There was no kindly English professor to tell me for my own good how awful my writing really was. And there was no professor with the power to order me what to read either. During most of my freelancing, I made what I would have made in charge of the cafeteria at a pretty good junior high school. But I was doing what I loved. All time is all time. It does not change. It does not lend itself to warnings or explanations. It simply is.